All right, here we are in the kitchen. We're mixing up this milk for the bottle calves. Thought I'd show you how to do that. There is one little trick to mixing dry with wet. And I learned that in chemistry class in high school. And that is that you don't put the dry into the wet. You put the wet slowly into the dry. And it mixes. Otherwise it will not mix well and you will kill yourself trying to mix it. The other day we were showing you one of the little calves, number 299, was beginning to have diarrhea. Okay, so the next day he was on the ground, unable to get up. He had gotten so sick. Okay, what it is the diarrhea dehydrates the calf. And if you don't help them get hydrated, they will die. And so we immediately got out there once we saw him. He couldn't get up. We had to help him up and he would fall down every time. Had real runny diarrhea and all that. So we got pure water in his bottle and we gave him pure water and he drank it all day long. We separated him into another pen so that he wouldn't put diarrhea all over the other calves. And by the end of the day, he could stand up on his own. We gave him no food. And then the next day, which was yesterday, he took the bottle, we put him back, and he seemed to be back to normal. All right, name of the game with the diarrhea is you got to keep the liquid in them. Now, if it gets really bad, you have to force feed them liquid if they get really weak. You can look up on YouTube some videos on how to manage calf scours. Okay, this is how you do this. All right, you just start with a little bit of liquid in one spot. I'm putting hot water in here. And you see I'm just starting with a little and I'm grabbing a little bit of the, mixing it good, grabbing a little bit of the dry each time. It's getting thick enough to where now I can hardly stir it. It's getting into a thick dough. Okay, a little bit more, same thing. This is actually quite physical here. Oh, this is enough to make 2 gallons right here. And it's five. You'll see the mixing instructions on your calf milk replacer product about how much to put. Now, before we have done bottled calves, but only 2 at the time, and we were just mixing it in small batches. But now, doing 4 of them, and you see it's a thick stuff here. I'm grabbing the dry, mixing it together. So if you were doing this on a larger scale, of course you would do it with some kind of a mechanical advantage, like a drill. An electric drill with a paint mixer on it would work well. And now I just put a little bit of water. You can try it the other way. You can try putting water. Try and put the dry into the water and you'll find out that it just does not work very well. I'm reaching down here on the bottom and making sure I get all of the dry. And this is what you want it to look like. Now, you can start putting a little bit of water with it, and it'll begin to get I know this is almost too simple to be telling you how to do it, but there is actually a right way to do this. And like I say, I learned it in my chemistry class, probably in the 11th grade, and they were teaching us how to mix dry chemicals when they had to put different fluids in the mix. And now it's loose enough now to make sure the water's hot. We want hot water because by the time we get out there, it's pretty chilly. We want them to have a nice warm bottom. And now we can go ahead and mix the water in and just keep stirring it up. Oh, and I told you in the first video how hard this was, how hard the work was. Well, it was, but a lot of it was because we weren't organized yet. So now we're feeding these calves 2 times a day, and it's getting easier because we're a little better organized. The calves are learning where we are and how to get the milk through the fence without banging their mouths on the wire, and so it's getting somewhat easier. Get my hands cleaned off. Now there's a few little pieces that didn't get mixed up in the bottom, but that's not much, just a little small. I can feel them, but that will pass through the nipple of the bottle with no problem. Now if you're watching this and you're still with me, that's proof to me that you don't have a lot to do. That you're spending your time watching a man mix up a milk for baby calves. But if you are watching, I'm glad you are, and glad to have you watching the videos from Buckhorn Creek Ranch. Okay, and this is the next step. You may figure out a more efficient way to do it than this, but I got a 5-gallon bucket, and I got my bottles over here. And I just fill them up like this right here. Now, sanitation is important. You want to wash your bottles and all of your stuff. I know it's a lot of work, but farming, raising animals is work. We have to work for our food. We're not going to raise these animals. Now, we got lucky. I feel like we got lucky, and we got at the sale, there were 2 heifers, dairy heifers. That's the female calves. They don't normally sell them, but one of them had a bad case of arthritis and could barely walk, and we took a chance on her, and we gave her some medicine. One time we gave her a shot of antibiotics, and we nursed her and fed her, and she lived. And now the arthritis, that would be the swelling in her leg joints, is almost gone, and she's going to grow up into a cow, a dairy cow, that will be capable of having calves. Mostly at the sale barn, they only sell the bull calves. But if there's something wrong with the heifer calves, like this one had arthritis, and they didn't want to raise her, and so they sold her, and we got her. So now we've got, and I bought another dairy cow that was on sale up there, and she had a bad eye. One of her eyes was blind, and they sold her. So I got her. Well, guess what? A blind eye is not going to keep her from being a mama and having a baby calf. So now we've got 2 Holstein. Are they Holsteins or the black and white ones? Yeah. Females that are going to grow up, we think, and be capable of having calves. So we'll save one of these little bulls that we're raising now, possibly, and we will be able to produce purebred dairy calves. And no, I don't have any plan of having a dairy. Dairy is one of the hardest farming jobs there is, if you ask me. Intensive management is required, but I don't see any reason not to let those heifers get pregnant by one of those bulls and have a baby dairy calf and let the mama raise it. Okay. So, like I say, they don't normally sell the heifers, but we got two anyway, and they're doing well now. We got them a while back, and they're about half grown now, and they're not taking the bottle at all. They're on grass. Okay. Now these bottles got wet when that milk spilled on them and all. And this milk is very slippery, so we wipe the bottles off and dry this bucket out before we go out there so that we can hold the bottles without them slipping out of our hands. Okay, so we'll meet you out there in the yard and we'll show you our 299 that we rescued from the brink of death. And this extra milk that gets in here, we pour that somewhere and give it to our, we pour that little bit that spilled on our Great Pyrenees dogs, dry dog food, and it helps them to eat it. They love it. Okay. All right, here we are. Now see this $2.99 right there, that's the one that got down the other day. That's the one that was down where he couldn't get up, and we just bottle fed him water all day long. And he's up and sassy right now. Now one of them isn't up here, and I can hear him over there. He's standing up. He's in the little house over there.
There he comes.
So he's good. Okay, so we're pretty good. And here's old Flossie right here. We don't know what she is, but we know she's pregnant. She's a pet, kind of, and we like her. Okay, I'm gonna help Debbie with this right here.